It's been a little bit since we've done some tips and tricks with QuickBooks, so let's take a look at one today. When I use QuickBooks, and as a QuickBooks Pro advisor, I use lists a lot. And what do I mean by lists? Well, there's several in QuickBooks. There is your item list that has your inventory items, of course your chart of account list, but I am going to kind of focus on lists that aren't in here, and that would be your customer list and or your vendor list. Let's click on vendors. This is a list. Now, to put in a list, every list has an option or a button that you press to click new. And so we're going to do new vendor for a minute. And as you're putting a new vendor in, you have these fields and you fill in the fields, and the fields are entitled company name, job title, phone, fax, and there are all different kinds of settings, account number, credit limit, payment terms. You know, you're filling in the information for that particular vendor. And again, each field has its name. When you are all done, you can then see your vendors in a list, and when we click on the vendor, their list information shows up over on the right-hand side in this grid area here. Now, it is useful to be able to click on a vendor and see their information, but sometimes in the list we may want to organize the list alphabetically. And just a real tip or trick, if you click on the name column header, it will sort all of your vendors in alphabetical order. See how the arrow goes up, and if I click it again, the arrow goes down. It'll do a reverse sort so that it goes Z to A or A to Z. That same concept of sorting works if I come over onto this column and click here. These are the balances that are due at each vendor. So it's going from smallest to largest owed. If I click it again, it goes from the largest amount owed to my vendor to the smallest amount owed. So each time I click a sort here, it will sort, you know, the other columns out of order, so you can just kind of figure out which way you want to see it. Now, with regards to this information, I can right click on one of these headings up here, and I can go down and customize columns. And I can add one of those field names that we saw earlier in the vendor screen. For example, if I want to go down and say, I would like to put in something like, let's see here, account number. I'm going to hit the add button, and I'm going to add the account number over. Now, I'm going to take account number and hit move up, and I'm going to move that up before the, oh, that's all the further up I can move it. And I'm going to move it right under the name so that when I click OK, I have a new column in here. And if I move my mouse just right with this double-headed arrow, I can kind of slide and I can see account number. Okay, and balance. Whoops, make that a little bit wider. Now I may have to come over here and make the whole screen just a hair wider. There we go. Now, so I have customized these columns, and so at a glance, I can see account numbers. And if I click on account numbers, then it will sort in number order from 1, 2, 3, you know, to alphabetic order. So you can quickly find a vendor by account number, by balance total, you know, sort them alphabetically. And really, these columns can be anything you want them to be. Credit limits, if you want to have email addresses or phone numbers show up in this quick list, just right click, customize columns, remove the account number out of there, and then you can put something else in. Or you can put as many of them in as you can get to fit. But anyway, you can customize this little mini list over here so that you can look at it as a whole. Anyway, tip or trick for QuickBooks.